Hi everyone, it's Heidi from flutterbyheidi.co.uk and it's a Sunday, so a bit of Sunday scoring, or at least I hope this will go live on a Sunday. Who knows, I may have changed my mind by then. But today I'm going to be sharing a lovely card using the beautiful Butterfly Brilliance stamp set and the Brilliant Wings coordinating dies. Lovely all-in-one stamp that stamps all those butterflies beautifully. I'm using my Stamparatus because I just find that so much easier than a big block. Well worth the investment, and lots of things that you can do in terms of techniques. And the Brilliant Wings dies, two things to note with this. One, it cuts out all of those butterflies on that stamp with one die. Absolutely perfect. And then you get these gorgeous detailed, so that's the stamp set, and those the detailed butterflies you get, and then you get some accent pieces as well. So that's what I'm going to be using, and I better show you the card I'm going to be making, hadn't I? Right, so this is the card. So it's a version of a stepper card. You see here, that's how it looks on the side. It stands up, you know me, it folds flat for posting, and we just use some of our lovely Fluid 100 watercolour paper there, and you can see that lovely background stamp there as well. And then on the back you can easily add a piece of Whisper White, Basic White to add your sentiment. So now you'll see here I've used some papers. This is the Butterfly Bijou, which I was going to show you, but it has already sold through. So it's sold out. So instead I'm going to use some of the lovely designer series paper that comes in the in colours. So this comes in a pack whereby you get 4 sheets of every colour in the colour family. So I've got a bit of Blushing Bride, and what I'm going to do is create my own DSP by stamping it with those lovely butterfly stamps as well. So let's get on with the various bits and pieces. I'm going to start by doing the watercolouring because obviously that takes longest to do. And I've got a piece of the Fluid 100 paper here, which is 8 by, it's 4 3/4 by about 3 1/8. So if I find my ruler, and that's 8 by about 12 centimetres, 12 centimetres, and then you're going to want a panel to map that onto. So if we start with this bit, I'm going to leave my plate there because one of the things that helps when you're doing watercolouring is if you actually add, I'm using our water painters here, add some moisture to the back of the card. It will not only help it stay in one place, but it will help you as well. So I'm creating a panel, and what I'm going to do is just paint and wet that surface first. Now you can use either your re-inkers or you can use your ink pads for this. So what I'm going to do is grab my Melon Mambo and ink that up. I'm going to just do a centre panel. So just going to add some water on there, and you'll see, just get that lovely sort of watercolour effect, and that will sort of change as we, and if you want to get some sort of drips, if you add water and then just touch it afterwards, and that will then just sort of spread and run down to give a slightly different effect. So that's my Melon Mambo. I'm going to grab my Just Jade, which is the original colour. So this is one of our current in colours. And again, just add some ink to that. I'm just going to use one of my other. So obviously the more water you add, the paler it's going to be. So I'm just adding this at a sort of slight angle because I just don't want hard lines. And hopefully you can see that I'm just adding that. And I'm no great sort of watercolourist, but I just love the way kind of colours blend. And likewise, if you love watercolouring, there's some super things coming up. So there we go, there's our sort of background piece. You can see all those colours kind of blending in together. Just adding those on the bottom. And I'm going to pop that to one side just to dry as we speak. And I'm going to grab my chamois if I can find it and give that a quick wipe. So disorganised, can't find it. There we go. So yeah, there we go. So now we've done that, I can put that to one side, so try and minimise my inkiness. I'm just leaving that to dry. So now what we want to do is two things. We want to create that big back panel for our upright card. As I said, I'm going to use I thought I'd go for Blushing Bride and Melon Mambo this time. So I have stamped onto my grid paper to give me a rough idea of where to put it. And all I'm going to do, this is a piece that is probably not quite 10, it's probably a little bit longer. So it should be 10.5 by 14.5. There we go. 10.5, hopefully by, yeah, just trim that down to 14.5. So just a quarter sheet of A4. And I'm going to pop that into the middle there. There we go, hopefully you can see that. So just ink up all over with your ink pad. Now you might find it's easier to add a stamp case underneath so that it stays nice and flat while you ink it up. But just make sure you ink up really well. The centre part obviously is going to be covered up by our panel. But all I'm going to do now is pop that down. And so the beauty of this is obviously just one stamp. And then we have our beautiful background to go onto our DSP. And if you wanted to, you could always add a bit more onto the top there, but that's perfect for what I wanted. And now we're going to do our little bit of designer series paper. So I said before that what I've done is I've stamped on this one already. So I'm just going to pop this probably on the, decide which bit you want. And again, you can just ink it up. And being red rubber, you get a beautifully detailed image. I've kind of gone all over that, didn't really need to, obviously for that small piece. And then there we have a lovely piece of our own DSP. Okay, so there's our DSP we've got there. So next steps then, we're going to create our card base. I'll need to trim that down slightly in a moment because that's our layer. So the actual card base itself, you're going to want half a sheet of A4 plus another kind of quarter sheet. So this is 10, you want a piece that's 10.5 by 29. It is, and then you're going to score, or I have done dimensions in inches. I will do my best to pop those up as soon as possible onto my blog, but you're scoring at 3 in centimetres, 6, 10.5, then at 15 and at 22. Then you want a piece that's 14.5 by 10.5. That's that piece, yeah. And then the layer, you want 14.2 by 10.2. So I'm just going to trim a little bit off that. I'm going to trim a little bit off the top where I've left a little bit more of a gap. There we go. That just evens that up a little bit. Okay, so let's add this, and you see here, they're just adding that tiny little border, just frames it just nicely. I've just realised I haven't actually got my bone folder out. I'm still decamped into my dining room at the moment. hope to be able to make it back up into my craft room when my routine is back to normal. That would be lovely. Right now, I'm not having my normal routine. I think my cat is also about to come and join us. So if you suddenly see your furry friend, yes, here he comes. Apologise now. Oh, COVID, go away. That's not the cat's name, but it does. It's because of that I'm down here in my craft in the dining room, not my craft room. Okay, so you're going to concertina that piece, and then this piece here just goes onto that section there. So you're just going to add glue, and this is one of those occasions when I'm actually adding glue to this panel, not to the front one, so we make sure it doesn't spread anywhere. Those of you who have watched videos, he does occasionally come and join in, but goodness knows what's going through his mind right now. So I'm just popping that up just before that that score line, you see there, and that then creates our layer. So now we can add our layers to here. You see, he can't usually get on my craft desk, so he thinks it's very entertaining to come and sit. And he's got used to me being at home, haven't you, Ninj? Yes, he's got used to me being at home, and so as a result, oh, these pieces, I should have said, okay, so these are, these layers are, this one is 4.2 by 10.5. I'm going to have cat fur all over this. My projects often have cat fur, especially if I'm using Tombow. And then this layer is 4 centimetres by 10.5. Okay, add this one. He's obviously thinking better of actually coming underneath the camera. Or can you see him? Maybe not. Okay, to add our other layer. So with these ones, I rather like having just a top and bottom border. Obviously, if you prefer to have a border all the way around, then you just need to adjust that width down very slightly. So here we go. That's our next layer on, like so. How are we doing? Okay. Right, now I'm going to very quickly grab my heat gun, come on, because that hasn't anywhere near dried. And then in the meantime, what I'm going to do, while that's drying, hopefully you can still hear me, I'm going to choose my butterflies to go on the top. So I thought I'd add a lovely blushing bride, and then I've die cut sort of whisper white, and then I've actually got a smaller one, probably a little bit much to have as well. So I'm just drying my paper, so it will warp a little bit, but I've got a layer to mount that onto. So that should then just help. Right. Okay. So, where are we? Chaos ensues. So I've got my layer, which I'm going to add onto my layer of Blushing Bride. And this is just simply, I do find Tombow is good for adding our watercolour paper on, and ideally what I do is I've done an extra one and dried it already, but I didn't think about that. I was more bothered about the fact that the paper had run out that I wanted to use. Okay, then just decide which way up you want it and simply add some glue just to the middle of those butterflies and pop that right in the centre. Same here. And then to say, you could always add an extra one afterwards. Like so. Add some dimensionals onto the back. And then I would normally just weight this down, but I will add plenty of dimensionals onto the back when this is layered with watercolour, because you really want it to not distort at all, like so. And hopefully you'll soon be able to see our lovely card. Perfect to add a sentiment onto the front banner there. If you like itty bitty greetings or itty bitty birthdays, get them now. They are retiring. The retiring list is out. So pop along to my blog and you'll see what that is. But there we have a pair of pretty watercolour butterfly Brilliance cards, and they are great because they do fold flat for posting and stand up as well. Just give those an extra little crease with your bone folder and you'll have a lovely card that will hopefully please the recipient. So thank you for watching. Do come back and see me again soon. Excuse the intrusion with the cat. Bye for now. And if you want to buy any of the products, links are in below or on my blog as usual. Bye.